Welcome everyone to episode 36 of the Girls in Movement podcast, and thank you so much for tuning in. So for those of you who don't know about Girls in Movement, and maybe it's your first time listening, welcome firstly. We're a not-for-profit project looking to empower and educate young girls across the world. I'm really excited about our guest today, not just because I religiously use her products, but because I think she's also on a similar mission. It's not just about having an amazing brand and product, which she does, but it's more around kind of the education around the topic of health and well-being. I can't wait to hear this individual story on sort of how she started the brand, but also her own personal story and journey to where she is now, I suppose. And as she says, this is a brand built on her own story, which is really cool. I think personally her product was ahead of the curve when it first came out, but now it's kind of a must-have product in households who are sort of looking to eat cleaner or change their habits, for example. So without further ado, I welcome Lucy Buckinghamshire, founder of Lucy B. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to chatting to you today.
Yeah, good. I mean, before we start, I do have to ask this question. Do you find when anyone says your product name, it's in the Joe Wicks voice when he does his Instagram recipe videos?
Yeah, so much. But I normally find it on a night out, or it's never when I've left for the gym or, green juice in hand. It's always on a night out and someone will come up to me like, Lucy B, I need your coconut oil. And I always like, oh, brilliant. Like, why couldn't you have spotted me in the gym, not in a club or a bar? But yeah, it's funny. So many people now just like, oh, is that? I was away recently and they're like, oh, that coconut girl, that Lucy B coconut
Oh, I
girl.
love that. Yeah, I had to really refrain from saying that when I said the brand, but no, I refrain. Okay, cool. Let's start off from kind of the beginning, at the start of your career. So, first question is sort of where did your career start? Has it always been in sort of health and fitness, or were you doing something sort of prior to this sector?
It's quite. I've always been into my health and fitness. The reason Lucy B started is due to the fact I'm a coeliac. So when I was 18 months old, I was really poorly, and my mum and dad went from never having to look at the back of labels to obviously having to be very aware of what they were putting into their babies, like food, what they were cooking. So growing up, I've always been into my health and well-being. But my career-wise, I left school at 16 and I thought I wanted to be a hairdresser. And I started hairdressing, and I'm just such a worrier and overthinker. I was so worried about what people thought of it. I didn't really enjoy it as much. So then I
Mm.
swapped over and I was doing makeup for a little bit and had the same sort of situation. And then actually went into beauty and was doing massage and facial. And that was where I really found my passion for sort of the wellness side of it, because I love doing massage. I love making people feel good about themselves and facials. And I was actually using coconut oil a lot for my treatments back then. So I've always been into my health and well-being, and I've sort of implemented that into my day-to-day life and also like my work as well. And then, yeah, it's like with the coconut oil side of it, due to the fact it's like high in lauric acid, which is antibacterial and antifungal. It's really good for the skin, and it also has fatty acids and vitamin E, so it's really nourishing and hydrating. So that's kind of how Lucy B started, really.
Nice. I mean, before we kind of go into Lucy B and the sort of
Mm.
incredible story, I mean, you've gone through a journey with sort of weight loss, healthy eating, and I suppose understanding how it all works. I think that's probably why you're so like knowledgeable on the topic. I mean, I was reading one of your posts where you're talking about sort of fad diets and
Yeah.
listening to advice in magazines. And I suppose we see this a lot on social, but what are your thoughts on this in relation to your own journey, I suppose?
I think it's just hard because obviously now with social media, there's a lot going on at the moment with people promoting products, like diet teas and all that sort of stuff, like weight loss stuff, and it's so unsustainable and unhealthy. And I think we've always had it though, growing up seeing magazines, we've always had it. But I think because platforms now, young people, older people, are so they can easily get a hold of this sort of information, and unfortunately with there being people being paid to say stuff and we believe it. And I've been there. I'm not saying that it doesn't happen at a mixed school, but I was at an all girls school where we kind of a lot of the girls ended up being quite unhappy in how they looked, and sort of really didn't sort of feed ourselves in the right way. And we, you know, myself, I tried out so many different solutions, quick fixes, and actually in turn it backfired. And I mean, I was just very, you know, my whole body changed. I actually put on weight. I was miserable. I've always struggled with my anxiety, but it's just scary to think that there's just like this stuff out there that people can easily see, and people that it can really, who are impressionable and people look up to, are selling stuff that actually is like misleading. And I think now for me, I'm always promoting it, but it's all about balance. It's all about eating wholesome foods, never cutting out like certain food groups, and you know, just eating food and for fuel and for what it is, and not banish it, like not cutting out anything, because I think that's when you end up having like issues, you know, with yourself as well.
Yeah, and I think like what I love about yourself is like for you, you're telling kind of the social world it's all about enjoyment. Like, and I always kind of say I don't enjoy going to the gym, but because I much prefer running around the park because I feel like
Yeah,
I'm out in the fresh air. And that whole idea of like you should enjoy losing weight and go kind of doing a workout, for example. So yeah, I mean, like I completely echo your thoughts on that. It's hard to get that out there though, because so many people are like, I need to look like this for this set date. But I mean, it's a long journey for weight loss and
yeah.
having that mindset.
It is scary. Like even like when I started exercising properly, which was 3 years ago. Before that, I'm an overthinker. I always worry about what I'm doing wrong. So I never used to really go to the gym, because I'd sort of go in and out, and I'd always be like, oh no, I can't do this, and leave, and I'll just feel awkward. So I actually decided, and I know not like it's not always like the most viable thing, but I decided to get a PT just for a short term, just to learn technique and really learn what works for me. And that was 3 years ago. And when I first started that, it was for vanity reasons. And I used to go, and about a couple of weeks into it, I started to see a change in myself, and I started to realize there was a more valuable thing here. And it was actually, I was less anxious, I was less worried about things. I was going into the office with a clearer head, and I actually stopped training to look good in a bikini or for vanity reasons. And I actually was training for my mental health, and in turn, that's helped with my body. And like even friends have been asking what I've done differently, like what, like how I've got to where I am. And it's because I actually was enjoying my exercise, and I wasn't doing it because I was like punishing myself. I was doing it because I actually loved it, and I was feeling good, and I wanted to keep feeling that way. And I think it is like there's so many pressures out there, and I think we're all, you know, and it is hard not to, like sometimes you'll scroll through your Instagram or look in magazines, and you know, it's only human, you will compare yourself, but it is, everyone's different. And I posted something the other day saying like healthy looks different on everybody. Like,
Mm.
you know, as long as your mental health is strong and good, and your physical, that's like the most important thing, and that you're feeding your body with like nutritious food. And I think we're so much out there as well, scaremongering, people wanting social media content, so they're writing stuff just to sort of have content on there, and it gets so confusing. And I can understand that. And I think where I've grown up having to be aware of what I eat, I've been quite lucky. And don't get me wrong, I've said earlier, I've been trapped in it as well, so I'm not saying it's easy, but it's really listening to your own body and doing your own research, and you know, listening to people that actually have like a qualification in it, so trusted dietitians or nutritionists or doctors that actually know what they're talking about.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we'll come back later kind of onto the point around social media and I suppose the power of that influencers have today. I mean, I have a split opinion on it, but yeah, it's incredible how that's totally changed within the space of sort of 2 years, and that is literally
Yeah.
the power of social. Let's go kind of let's start off with Lucy B now. So what made you start Lucy B? I mean, you were onto something quite early on with the whole idea around coconut oil, and I know you were saying you kind of used it in your massages and stuff. I mean, did you think it would become this popular?
No, so Lucy B started 6 years ago, and the reason we actually brought out a coconut oil was because they were very limited on the market. There were a couple of other ones, and they were about £16. They were in plastic. They weren't fair trade. So we decided, my dad and I, to bring one out, because as a family we were using it all the time, and we knew the importance of a healthy saturated fat for cooking. And as I said, I was using it for my beauty treatments as well, so I was obviously already using it. And we just decided like we really wanted to bring out one that was fair trade, something that is really, we're really passionate about. I don't know if you want me to touch on that now or later.
No, no, definitely no. Go
Yeah.
for it.
And for us, a lot of people ask us why we're fair trade, and I always like to turn it around and say, why wouldn't you be? For us, like, it's just something that we feel so passionately and strongly about, because if we're going to use these beautiful products from these places, we want to give back. And with our fair trade scheme, we're with the Fair Sustainability Alliance, so it's called the Fair TSA. And the reason
Mm,
we went with this company is because all the money goes directly back to the places where we get the products from. So with our
oh,
coconut oil,
amazing.
it goes back to the Philippines. With the Dominican, our cacao, it goes back to the Dominican. And with our turmeric, chai, and our cinnamon, it all goes back to India. And just some of the reasons that we obviously are fair trade is the fact that all the farmers are on wages, they're all on contracts. Their children, there's a lot of feeding programs within the school. So I was recently in the Philippines where where they feed the malnourished children. Some of them have like 2 hour walks a day to school and go on an empty stomach, or will get a bowl of rice. And they were finding obviously the children weren't really learning that well. So
Mhm.
now they've got this scheme where they go in every day at 11 a.m. and they teach the mums or the dads how to do basic nutrition, so vegetables, carbs, fats,
Wow.
proteins. They feed the children at the school, and they've seen that the concentration's gone up, and they've also obviously seen like such an
Oh, wow.
improvement in children. And also things like they do a lending program in the Philippines, which is where they can lend money. And one of the ladies who's actually had the presentation in her shop, she used to just sell bits and bobs by the side of the road. She now has a big shop in the community where she sells all the basics like rice,
Wow. Incredible.
toothpaste, etc. And her husband has a organic coconut farm. And it's just amazing to see how this helps. And in India, we help with solar power, we help with school scholarships and medical bills. In the Dominican, it started off a mistake, but they employ single women who have children,
Mm.
and by what I mean by mistake, they just employed a few single ladies who had children, and they just realised what hard workers they were and their story behind it. And a lot of their husbands had left them and promised them a better life, saying they're going to send them money, and hadn't. So now they employ single women with children. They're raising money to build a school so that the children can learn basic English to give them a better chance in future. They also help with the medical bills and school scholarships, books, etc., so that the children have a better chance in the future. So for us, that's a massive thing. Like, we're using their products, we want to give back, we want to make sure they've got good working conditions, we want to secure there's like no monkeys being used in the harvesting. And with the communities, they actually get to choose how they want the money spent. So it's not up to the fair trade scheme. They're there to advise and help. But when I was in the Philippines, they have a massive like community meeting, and they get to choose who's the head of farming, who's the head of, the lending program. So it's their community that have control over it, and they can decide where the money will be spent. So for us, that was a massive thing that we wanted to incorporate into our brand. Like, we want to make sure that we're ethical, sustainable, and we're also giving back to those places. And when we started Lucy B, as you said, we were one of the first, and coconut oil was pretty like people knew about it, but
Yeah.
healthy fats weren't really the in thing at the time. And it was kind of, for us, we were just loving it as a product. We were using it, and we knew the importance of it. We had like a lot of the England rugby team and a lot of bodybuilders using it because they knew the importance of a healthy, stable fat. And I think through like social media and other influencers getting on board, obviously coconut oil became like coconut crazy, and now we've got it
Literally.
everywhere.
And did
Um,
you find, like, even when you were, I suppose, starting out Lucy B with your dad, and you're like, look, I've got this incredible idea, I think it could be popular. Um, I mean, finding the source, like the recipes, did you have to go to these countries to be like, hey, that's the factory I want to work with, or that's the organization I want to work with? How did you create the product itself and the recipe? Because I think when people start a food and drink brand, that's kind of the hardest part, that and the
yeah,
packaging. And especially when you're fair trade, like, it's easy to make a simple product which is fairly low cost, but when you're doing something where you have to be kind of ethically conscious and kind of stick to your morals, I suppose, about what you're trying to put out there, sometimes it can be tricky to kind of split that with running a business as well. I mean, how did you find that?
yeah. For us, we actually we didn't actually go to the places at the time, but we basically we got in touch with the Fairtrade scheme, and also just producers and we just did a lot of research, and through the Fairtrade scheme we mostly got the connections through them, so they told us who they're working with, so that it was already audited. And with this Fairtrade scheme as well, it's always people outside of the scheme that audit the places, so it's not all like in-house, which, you know, so there's complete traceability with it. And so they actually put us in touch with quite a few different producers, and it's coconut oil is kind of like wine. Different regions taste differently, and we've changed suppliers a couple of times now, and we're now working in the Philippines, and we had one from Sri Lanka as well. But the one in the Philippines is very rich, like coconut flavor, smell, whereas the one in Sri Lanka was a lighter smell and taste. So we brought out two different ones, and we had our Sri Lankan one in an orange lid and our Philippines one in a green lid, because we want our customers to know the story behind each one. And a lot of supermarkets now or other companies will mix oils so that it's cheaper for them, because if they can get cheap, you know, oil somewhere, they can sort of like mix them all together, and it can be cheaper for them to produce it. So for us, we wanted to get that whole traceability of it and have the two separate ones and the flavors. But yeah, at the beginning, it's obviously trying to build that rapport with someone. We did a lot of like calls and Skypes, and in the early days, obviously, we didn't know. My dad and I started it. My dad sort of started it for himself as like a part-time thing, and I had my own business doing beauty, so it was sort of a thing on the side for us to do, and we never sort of anticipated how quickly it would grow. Sainsbury's took it on actually really early on, and that gave us the capability to sort of expand quite a lot. And obviously that's when we started to realise, wow, we've kind of got something here that's, you know, quite a big deal. But in the early days as well, even though it was called Lucy B, like, and it's around my story of me being a coeliac and why we're into our health, I never actually planned to have my face anywhere. I was the voice behind it. Yeah, like I mean, again, like it was 6 years ago, but a whole confidence thing for me. I didn't really feel I was it might sound silly, but it's like I didn't feel like I was like the image of health. I wasn't really into the gym. I enjoy going out with my friends. I love my health and well-being, but I was like, oh, I'm not into yoga. I'm not this person. And I just basically self-doubt made me not want to do it. And at the very beginning, even my dad was like, why don't we call it Lucy B? And I was like, Dad, that's really weird. Like, why would we call a coconut oil jar Lucy B? It's like calling a butter. Like, why would you call a butter Lucy B? He was like, because of your story behind it. And I was like, and in the end, I was like, okay, let's do it. But I was like, I do think it's really weird. Like, no one's going to follow us. And,
your dad was on something.
yeah, and I was just like on Twitter, like I was like posting stuff as this egg or this coconut oil jar. Like, this is the weirdest thing I think I've done in my life so far. And for a long while, we had nobody following us, but I just posted like recipes and tips on what I was using it for, and sort of memes and quotes. And yeah, it just sort of grew from there. But it was at the very beginning, I never planned to have my face anywhere, and it was only until I did a few shows where it was actually a main show that actually now was a key thing for my sort of career. But so many people had asked why I wasn't on the front cover and why we had this fitness model. And even though we had the lady's name and her Instagram and a story about her, they were like, you should be on it. It's you that's, you know, doing this work. So that's when I started to do like the odd selfie here and there. And obviously now it has expanded where you'll go on my Instagram and you'll be like, okay, this girl has a lot of pictures of us.
At least they know it's kind of your face with the brand. I mean, I think it's you that sells the brand, and like as you say, it's your story which is the brand. So yeah, I absolutely love it, and I think you should definitely carry on with it. I mean, so Lucy B is a family business. Is that still the case? I mean, how is that? What are the sort of pros and cons of having a family business?
It is very family. There's 12 of us in the office, so it's my dad still works for Lucy B. He's very much involved, and my brother recently finished uni and he's actually working at Lucy B. My sister's a nutritionist, so she sort of dips in and out and does stuff. But yeah, it's 12 of us, 2 people that work in the warehouse. But I think I've always got on with my family. Obviously, there are times where it does get quite heated. I think me and my dad sometimes find we get quite heated with each other, but I think it's because we actually have deep down we have the same views and passions. We both care a lot about it. So, you know, it's just at the end of the day, with anything in life, you just have to listen to people's views on something. You may not always agree, but it's coming to a happy medium of what's going to work and actually understanding their point of view. Because I think if you're just so cut off to it, like, no, this is the way, and it's only my way, you will never learn anything in life and you won't get very far. So I think everyone's opinion is valid, and it's just like taking on board comments, and maybe it's not going to work at that time, but maybe in future it will. But I think I love it being a family business. We want to keep it small. We're growing and we're in supermarkets, but our aim is to keep it small, but and keep it going. But it's literally a brand built on passion. Like, we just love what we do, and there's hard times, and I think obviously now with like coconut oil, it's such a saturated market now, like, no pun intended, but it's like like supermarkets, for instance, supermarket we're in has just changed their prices for their coconut oil to £1.50.
Whoa,
And
wow.
we've had to drop our prices quite dramatically. We used to be 9.95, which was competitive for what was out there. The two other ones were like £16 or more on the market. So now our 9.95 is £7.50, and we have to change all our prices to sort of keep competitive. But obviously ours is organic, it's fair trade. We're a small family business, so the amount of supermarkets will buy in, they can buy it for a lot cheaper because they're buying a lot of it. So it's kind of it's always a struggle, but I think if you love what you do and you're passionate, it is hard, and I'm not saying that makes it any easier, but if you love it, you will carry on and you'll keep working hard to make sure you keep succeeding.
Yeah, and I think like I mean, when someone drops their price to 150, that is like a
Yeah,
big drop for you. I mean, it's not even like you can lower the standards because the standards are set now. So it's not like you can kind of go back and say, okay, we're going to use a different recipe or anything like that. But
yeah,
I think, as you say, I mean, it's if the passion is there, you can kind of you'll come over the hurdle altogether as a family. It's really nice, and we see
yeah,
this in lots of kind of successful businesses, especially family run ones.
yeah.
Yeah, no, it's nice.
Yeah, I think people are sometimes surprised at how small we are. Like, we
Yeah.
like, even when we have meetings and stuff, people are like, oh, so who's behind all this? And on social media, and like, I always, as Instagram, I do all of Instagram, like, reply to everything, messages. My sister does Facebook, and one of the boys in the office, Tom, now does Twitter, just because I found I was just on my phone way too much. But
Yeah.
people was like, oh, could you please tell Lucy that I really like this, that, and the other? I'm like, oh, it's me. And even if people will say, oh, so thanks, Lucy, they'll be like, oh, could you tell her this? And I'm like, no, sorry, it is me replying to you. And I think people
Yeah.
expect it to be, I don't know, some big corporate company, but we are still small, and we never plan to sort of change that. Obviously, it will grow a bit, but we want to keep that core value of it being like a family business, and, just people that are passionate and want to work here, kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely. And just on the point around kind of social media, I mean, I have to mention obviously Joe Wicks, the body coach. I mean,
Yeah.
was this a relationship that happened? I mean, I'm going to drop the pun now, organically, or was it through reaching out to kind of each other because you're working on a similar mission?
So it was quite funny actually, because Joe started the same time as us. He had like 800 followers on Twitter, and he messaged me on Twitter saying that he was using our coconut oil. He'd bought it from Sainsbury's, and he was using it for his like Lean in 15 videos. And at
Nice.
this time, we were like obviously one of the first on the market, so we had a lot of requests for free products. So I kind of was like, oh, thanks, that's great. That was it. And then he messaged me, and the only reason was not long ago I was looking at them and I was just laughing because he had messaged me like, oh, hi Lucy, like, I'm using your coconut oil, as I said, like, do you do affiliate links or anything? And I was just like, hi Joe, I don't know what an affiliate link is. Sorry, smiley face. Like, and it's just like, oh my goodness, like, I was so new to it. And then I said, look, I was watching his videos and I was like, he is hilarious. So his videos were different, they were so different to what was out there on the or on social media. He was having fun with his cooking. So we ended up sending him like coconut oil here and there. And then we met up, we met up at Whole Foods, and he was like, I'm going to throw midget trees at her and all this. And I was like, oh my goodness, who is this guy? Like, I was a bit nervous. I thought, oh God, I'm in, like, I don't know what this is going to be like, this meeting. And he is like the most lovely, down to earth guy, like really lovely. And since then we've worked together, like we were paying him for a while. We're not anymore. But it was, for a long time, it was just the fact that he loved the brand and
Yeah.
he was using it all the time. And I think what's lovely with our relationship is that we've I mean, he's huge now, but we've grown together, and it's like it's been
Mm.
nice. We've been friends throughout it all, and obviously he's a massive credit to VCB. Like, just like, he's got like 5 million followers now, and he's done
Yeah, it's incredible.
incredibly well for himself. But he's such a lovely, down to earth guy. So it's so lovely to see, and it was really nice that actually it started from the beginning. It wasn't like we like found him and approached him. It was an organic thing where he was using it all the time, and then it just happened. We ended up working together, like on it as well. So yeah, no, it was like, yeah, he's great, and it's funny now. Like now, I have to credit him for always being shouted at. The coconut girl.
No, I love it. I think like what a way to just kind of bring in a brand, and he does that really well. But yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, I think very similar to you. You both have a great story, and his story of like rocking up to the parks in Richmond, no one turned up to his
yeah,
training, etc. That's at the heart of what he does. But I mean, very similar, I suppose. I see people like yourself and Joe Wicks as very kind of positive influences in terms of this is what you should be doing if you want to get healthy and lean and kind of eating right
yeah,
and stuff like that. And now I suppose you're starting to bring in kind of the mental side of things when people are talking about kind of mental health, the anxiety stuff. I mean,
yeah.
Lucy B, of course, leverage social media a lot through Instagram. What do you think are sort of the effects of social media and sort of the power of the influencer kind of on our own health and well-being? I mean, I've got quite a split opinion on the topic, but what do you think?
I think social media is a very positive. I think there's a lot of positive things going on at the moment on social media. I always say to people, like, if you follow someone that makes you feel unhappy, unfollow them. And I think
Yeah,
we have
so
to
true.
we have to be real with it, and it isn't real life. Like you're seeing a picture of someone's like day or whatever it is. They might have taken 100 pictures to get that one picture looking good. So
Mm.
I do think it's positive. But me, obviously, as a business side of things, it's been a massive thing for us, which has given us like a presence, and I can really sell our products on there and talk to people face to face. Like I literally reply to everyone if when like as much as I can, and I think like from that side of it it's good. But I also am concerned obviously with this whole people promoting stuff like skinny teas or stuff like that, and the sort of people that hands it can get into and who are seeing it. But equally, we've always had that in magazines as well.
Yeah.
But I'm sort of mixed with it. I do feel like if it's something that is getting someone down, and I feel like I've seen quite a lot of stuff now with what I worry about is like kids of today, like
Mm.
the next generation, with like if they don't get enough likes, they delete their
Oh
Instagrams, they get
God,
teased
I
at
know.
school. And I just think when I was a kid, I was running around outside enjoying like being in the garden, and I think it's so sad how wrapped up we are on our phones. And I'm going to sound like a hypocrite now, but I think I just want to be honest with it. But even like I've got quite a few followers on Instagram, and I sometimes get so wrapped up in the fact that I might only get a few likes on a post.
Yeah.
And it's like, actually, Lucy, there's more to this. Like, why does
Mm.
it matter if you got however many likes? What difference does it make? It doesn't make you any less of a person. It doesn't change what you're doing for, the community in the Philippines or
Yeah.
whatever it is. It doesn't make a difference, and it's not. And it shouldn't make you feel that way, but we do get wrapped up in things. And I think that is the unfortunate thing where we really get wrapped up in this whole life of social media, and actually it isn't your real life. It's like so far from it. So I think it's taking it with a pinch of salt, and really, if you start feeling like that, really registering why you're feeling like it and what you can do different to sort of change it, because it's not healthy. It's not good for your mental health or your physical health even.
And I think, I mean, you were just talking about kind of you might not get loads of likes or your expected likes on a particular post, but that doesn't affect what you're doing with the
Yeah,
kids in the Philippines, for example. I mean, we just got back from a school in India, and one thing like I just took was that how happy these kids were with like
yeah,
the little things in life. And I think I don't know if it was similar in the Philippines, but the power of social media is great. But none of these kids had phones. They were going to school sort of 9 till 3, and very intense day in terms of learning, but they were just so happy all the time, which I don't
yeah.
know, I think we lack that sometimes because we're just so engrossed in our phone. And yeah, I couldn't recommend more on your point as well of unfollowing people that make you feel like shit when you're scrolling through
Yeah,
your phone. It's just like hit unfollow straight away.
it is. I always do that. Like, I mean, it's more just anyone that confuses you, anyone that you feel,
Yeah.
is doing what, like, just unfollow them. You do not need that in your life. Like, just follow the people that will give you positivity and make you feel better. But even this morning, I woke up at like 5:30. I'm not sleeping well at the moment. And I just sat on my phone, like scrolling through. And in the end, I was thinking, what am I doing? Get on with something else. Like,
Yeah.
I've actually now in the evening, because and obviously I do a lot of work on my phone. but I'm not learning anything new. I'm sitting there scrolling for Instagram or whatever else. And so now I really do try and make an effort. I put my phone on the side and I'll put a podcast on, or I'll pick up a book or whatever, because I realize I'm just ingesting stuff that I don't really need to look at. Like, it's great to catch up with Instagram and see what's going on. And I love like seeing, what other people are doing, or for workout, like tips or whatever else. But there is more going on in like the world that we
Yeah.
should sort of be focusing on than just sort of seeing how, like, what someone's doing on their social media platform. So I think it is like, I don't know, there are pros and cons to it. And I think there's quite a nice, at the moment, there's a lot of like body positivity, there's a lot of realness on there, but I still think there's a lot of, it's still taking it with a pinch of salt and realizing never compare yourself, and please not ever feel rubbish after going on social media, because that is, that really shouldn't be happening.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, really good advice there, because I think it is all around kind of mental health and how if you're feeling down when you come off your phones for any sort of social, like take a break, even like one day. I know that's so hard. I mean, I
Yeah.
did a month no social, and the first week was
Oh,
literally the hardest because you're
yeah.
like, oh, what button do I click on my phone? But you just naturally like click Facebook as soon as you open your phone. You're like, oh my God, I don't even care.
Yeah, that's the thing you do. You just scroll through. Even the gym earlier, I went to the gym.
Mindless.
I was on the running machine. I didn't have my phone. I was just like walking, and then I was like, oh, I haven't got my phone. I was like, what am I going to do? It's like, don't just, you don't need the phone. Like, stop being awkward. Just get on with it and just enjoy your
Yeah.
own, like, your own headspace. But I do think even like mental health, it's good. Like, I love the fact now, like, I've always struggled with anxiety, and even it was about, I'd say 2 years ago, I put a post on about anxiety just because I wanted to, but I was so scared to put it on. I was worried what people would say, or what sort of response I would get from it. And I really, like, it made me feel a bit like uneasy, and I posted it and it just went crazy. There's the amount of support. And after that, I'm always really real, because I really, well, not real, but I really am honest and transparent with everything on social media. And I just try to, I just realized the more you are open with things, the more the amount of people that are going through the same thing, and it is, you're never alone with things. I know you may feel like it, but whatever it is, any insecurities or anything like that, like when you actually post it, um like, you really do help someone else, and it actually makes you
Yeah.
realize that so many people are going through it as well. So it's just like not hiding anything and trying to be as transparent as I can be, so hopefully others to be able to open up as well.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely have. I mean, because I've seen a change in like the posts that you're putting out there, and I like it's relatable for the stuff that you're saying, especially, I mean, around health and fitness. Like that's,
Yeah.
I mean, this you're lucky because I suppose it wraps in with like the business that you have as well. But when I suppose Joe Wicks as well, when you guys talk about, oh, I don't know, like I have no motivation today to do a workout, you're like, oh my God, at least like these people have no motivation as well, because you're like, you need to relate to something. And
Yeah.
sometimes there's people on social where you're like, God, this isn't relatable in any way. But yeah, you do keep it very real on Instagram. I mean, with the whole kind of, I suppose, your own issues around anxiety, etc. Do you find that you're giving out a lot of advice? Like, I'm sure people kind of DM you about questions around this. Do you feel like that's increased a lot recently?
Yeah, definitely. Or I'll get people more saying like, thank you for like being open with this, and it's more like
Yeah.
the stuff that they're going through. And I always find that just so like impacting. So I'm glad I'm making a difference or being able to help in some way with that. And it's like
Good.
men and women just messaging, like just saying, whatever stories it is. And because I've always been open with stuff, but I think even at the beginning, I was always worried, like, what people would think of me, or is it what they want to see? They follow me for like my coconut oil and my health food products. So that's what changed. And actually now I'm open with stuff, like even public speaking. I've decided this year it was my year to start, even though I've said that for the last 5 years, because I really worry about being put on the spot and getting things wrong or tongue tied. And actually I've been doing a few, and okay, afterwards I am one of those people, I'm like, I should have said this, I should have done that.
Mm.
But I talk about it, and actually, in turn, it helps me because people send me such good feedback or advice, or most people are the same. And actually, the more you're open with things, if I start a talk and I say, "Oh God, I never really do this. I'm quite nervous," people actually are more. They'll be like, "Oh, okay, fair enough," rather than
Yeah.
hiding it, going on all like, "Oh, And some people are great at it, but I'm just honest with it. I'm like, guys, I'm really nervous today, but I wanted to talk to you about whatever it is, and actually it's just the more open we can be with each other, the more we can help, others out there.
Definitely. And just kind of around sort of public speaking and stuff like that. I mean, what's coming up for Lucy B? I know we're kind of halfway through 2019, but have you got any kind of new products coming out or any kind of campaigns you're working on?
So we've got a few things. We've recently launched a coconut milk, and the reason we brought this out is because it's 99.9% coconut, so it's made of coconut water and coconut cream. And the reason we brought it out is because a lot of plant-based milks on the market are made up of normal water and fillers such as oats and rice, so they're quite like thin. You can't really use them in granola and stuff like that because of the consistency. So we launched that earlier like late last year. And we're actually bringing out a fortified one, so it'll be 330 ml, and it has iodine in it, calcium, vitamin D3, and B12. So it's got all the benefits in it. So if you're vegan, you can have it as an alternative, obviously, to dairy milk. And also, we get a lot of people that's children are not allowed dairy, or they want to take it to school. So that's why we're doing like the 330 ml. And then we've got our skincare range. So we actually launched that in November and completely sold out of everything.
Wow.
Which was pretty amazing. Like we
Wow.
just had to take the demand, and that's all palm oil free. Something again we're really passionate about. We really want to create a brand that's completely palm oil free, and it's quite a challenging thing to be able to do because unfortunately palm oil is cheap to produce, so it's in a lot of ingredients and it's used a lot for like emulsifiers and in alcohols and stuff. So actually it's quite hard to find stuff that is completely palm oil free, but we're on a mission to be able to like create a brand that you will be able to buy sustainable, organic, like Fairtrade products that are completely palm oil free. So and it's cruelty free, vegan,
Wow.
and we launched it. It was like cleanser, face cream, face exfoliator, body scrub, body cream, lip balm, lip scrub, and so I don't know why I reeled them all off, but I started and didn't stop.
No, keep going.
And it completely sold out. But since then, we've changed manufacturers just because of the demand for it. They couldn't keep up with it. So we're relaunching it in November. So that will be our sort of big thing. And obviously, my background being beauty, it's what I'm really passionate about. And I thought I can talk about it quite naturally. So yeah, that's kind of where we're going. We're doing a lot of shows. Like I absolutely love meeting customers and like people. Like so we've done like quite a few shows this year, and we're doing the natural and organic product show in July, and a few different talks as well. But yeah, I love meeting people. I love getting feedback on the products and hearing what people's thoughts are on it or getting them to try it. Like I get so excited about it, I can't sleep at night after the shows.
And like it's the feedback. I mean, I know sometimes you ask like, give me some feedback on the product. I mean, that must be the best sort of customer interaction you can possibly get because it's kind of instant, and because you're talking to the founder and kind of the brains behind the product, I suppose. So it's really nice that the customers can just interact with you naturally over social and just say, yeah, like this is what I would recommend and stuff like that. So yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah. Yes, we get a lot of people with the coconut milk that will say that they won't try it or they don't like coconuts because they want like the real thing. And due to the taste of it, like being coconut water and coconut cream, like literally all of them that would try it were like, that's actually really nice because it isn't artificial. And even that sort of thing, it's just amazing, you know, that like people, you can just hear that feedback and know what you are doing. Like, because as it is, it's like for any business, it's hard, you know, at times, and you kind of can get so wrapped up in that and like think you're not doing anything right. And it's actually meeting customers or just getting some positive feedback. You realise you're kind of, it's worth doing what you're doing and keeping up with it.
Definitely. And our final question, my favorite question that I love asking guests is, if you could give your younger self any advice, what would it be?
Oh gosh. I think, what would it be? Do you know what? It's whatever. I used to worry about what path I would take. Like something I haven't, like, well, it's just like I really struggled at school. So I left school at 16, and I never actually spoke about this, and I am going to go on to the point, but it's just a little way around it. But like when I'm actually dyslexic, and I never spoke about it until I did a talk actually a few weeks ago.
Wow.
And the only reason I brought it up is I got a message on Instagram from someone saying that they would never be able to do what like I do, like they really like look up to it, and like that they really struggle. They struggle with anxiety, learning difficulties, and I just thought, whoa, like hang on a minute. It made me sad to think that this person was comparing themselves to kind of what I was doing, because it's taken a lot. It's taken me 6 years to even get to do this sort of podcast now. I would have said no to you if you messaged me last year. And so I just was like, right, I want to be open with this, and I've never hidden it, but I've never really talked about it just because I feel like I don't want to be judged, or if I get something wrong, or if I don't know something, I don't want people to think, oh, it's because she's dyslexic. So I've never really been like open with it. And I even now I don't find it hard to talk about it, but I don't always, find it easy to talk about. So obviously I left school at 16 and I was like, right, I'll be a hairdresser, as I said earlier, and I didn't enjoy it. And I ended up dotting in and out of different jobs. I really went through a time where I did my beauty course and I was applying for jobs and everyone was like, oh no, you need more experience. And I kind of got in a bad place of like different paths and I didn't know what I was doing. I just, I was always worrying about where I was going. And actually looking back, like a key thing is now everything falls into place. And okay, it may not feel like it is, and you may feel like, where am I going? What am I doing? But I left school at 16, like I said, I did hair. I ended up doing makeup, which I didn't like. I did a few different things, and I ended up doing this make. I went and worked in a shop, and a girl said to me, "You love all the hands-on stuff. Why don't you do beauty?" I ended up obviously doing beauty, had my own business doing that, where I used coconut oil, and in turn, Lucy B was created, and now we brought out a skincare range. There was so much to that, and there was so much back and forth. What am I going to do in my life? And I think actually it's just trusting the process and believing in yourself, whatever it is. Don't ever let your anxieties or learning difficulties or whatever it is, even if you don't struggle with that, don't be hard on yourself and just believe in yourself and you will achieve your goals. And I think that's something that I wish I could have told my younger self, because I used to really not beat myself up, but feel rubbish about it. And I think actually it's like just, everyone has their own strengths and it's just playing on them and, having like faith and trust in yourself, really.
Yeah, no, I mean, amazing advice. And I think thank you so much for kind of being really open about that as well, because it's not easy kind of even just
Mm,
doing, like, as you say, a podcast and doing public speaking. We all have our own kind of issues inside and what we're dealing with. But as you say, it's all about trusting the process of what you're doing. And I think we compare ourselves to other people around us, people who are our age, and like, oh, they have a house, they have kids, or they're
yeah,
doing this with their career. But look, it's everyone's doing something different, and it's their own sort of journey to get them there in the end. So yeah, no, amazing advice.
yeah. If we were all the same, it would be boring. We've all got our own
Exactly.
qualities and we're all special in our own way. And it's like what fits one doesn't suit all. Everyone has their own, like, everyone's an individual and they should play on that and be proud of what they're doing and who they are and what they kind of want to achieve in life. It's not going by what someone else has told you to do or what they think you should be doing. Just listen to your own gut and go from there.
Yeah, 100%. Couldn't agree more. Thank you so much, Lucy, for being an incredible guest on the show. And for those of you who are listening, I can kind of put all the social media details for Lucy B, and links to her website, etc. So thank you so much, Lucy.
Thank you very much. Lovely chatting to you.